So let's use that idea now. Let's try to solve an equation that would involve factoring. So here's from top to bottom. Okay. See, can you figure out how to solve this equation? Okay, it's not been factored for you, but that's our technique. See if you can factor it and find the answers for x. Sorry. Okay, so if you factored it, I know it's weird because you're factoring the sign, but this is just like thinking about factoring 2u squared minus u. So then we would have a u up front, like this. Okay. So if you have trouble working with sines, cosines, tangents and that, you could try working with another letter instead. But this is what I get, which should give me two equations. One which I'm looking for where sine x equals to 0. Another one that I'll be looking for where 2 sine x minus 1 equals to 0. Okay. So if I walk you through these, sine x equals 0 is a unit circle. Okay. Sine is related to the y coordinate. So I have to think, where does the y coordinate equal to 0? So that's right here. Y coordinate equals 0 at these 2 points. What are the angles that I make at those 2 points? Right, so x is equal to 0 or pi. Okay, this one here, 2 sine x will be equal to 1. So sine x must be equal to a half. The triangle is 2, 1, root 3, 30, and 60. So the reference angle is 30 degrees, or pi over 6. So now my job is to figure out which angles I actually wanted now that I have the reference. This is a positive number. Positive. So the angles I'm looking for are the positive first and second quadrant angles. The first one here is pi over 6. The second one here is 5 pi over 6. Okay, both have a reference angle of pi over 6. Any questions? Can I just see by a show of hands how many people were able to do this question? Oh, excellent. Genius. Just pure geniuses here. Okay, so we're going to try just another one, and we're going to keep working after the break. Let's try factoring this one and see if you can solve it. Okay, so if you've moved everything to where we'd want to start solving this, and we factored out what we could, you should end up with this equation. And that gives me two things to solve. The first one here, where I'm looking for cos x to be equal to 0. That's going to be unit circle, which means the x coordinates equal 0 right here. And the angles that are made are pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. Then the second equation that's up here, it says sine x minus 2 must be equal to 0. In order to do that, sine x has to be equal to 2. And this is impossible. There is no angle that will give me a sine equal to 2. So this is a no solution. We can just ignore it at this point. There are only two answers that do it in the equation, and it comes from the first part at pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. Question, yeah?
X sine times cosine x minus 2 cosine x.
Yes.
And then it becomes cosine x times sine x minus 2.
Yeah, it's really strange to get used to when you're first doing it. Let's just say that I call this, let's call them m and n. Okay? So this would be m n minus 2n. So it's the n that I can factor out. Okay. It's really strange at first. So until you get comfortable, I would try that. If you're stumped or you don't see how to factor it, you can try using a different letter instead. Are there any questions? Excellent.